healing myself, as I work on the daily grind. They call it daily hustle. I
Awesome.
realize that it's not gonna work long term.
What's up, everyone? Happy New Year. It's me, Nina from Karma Marketing, and we're here with our first content feature of 2024. We have a super special guest. I'll have her introduce herself. She is from Malaysia, and she considers herself to be a self-love maestro. So for February, we'll be revolving around vulnerability. And we're going to talk about how to maximize vulnerability by really emphasizing that state of being open, being real, and also honest with our emotions. And rather than seeing this as a weakness, we kind of want to emphasize in this content feature how we can use it as a tool for being a leader and also connecting or making real connections with people at work. So this month's theme will be revolving around maximizing vulnerability in the workplace. So we have Niney Chong as our guest this month. Niney, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Nina, and hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm Niney Chong. I just realized this. You're Nina, and I'm Nini. So I have a sister named Nina too,
Yeah.
right? But okay, so I'm just going to speak a little bit about myself. I'm a mother of two, to a 16-year-old son. So I have a teenager and 11-year-old daughter. So I am running three businesses right now. So there is Bayou, a soft skill training provider company, and there is Ministry of Marketing Asia that does social impact marketing. So we help people to engineer impact through different types of initiatives. And I also have a Momentum. Momentum really stands for Women in Momentum. And there are 5 Momentum pillars altogether. We speak about body empowerment, emotional care, cognitive fitness, hormonal healing, vigorous and zesty lifestyle. So I'm a self-love maestro. Why do I call myself that? Because in my journey of entrepreneurship, I realized that killing myself, as I work on the daily grind, they call it daily hustle. I
Awesome.
realized that it's not gonna work long term. It's just not sustainable.
Mhm.
And I learned through my experience that when I take care of myself, that is where I get to be at my optimal performance, and I get to focus more and be more efficient in my daily life.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned how the hustling or the hustle culture is not sustainable. I feel like a lot of people these days are kind of resonating with that. It's not all about the grind. And I feel all the more the topic vulnerability, especially like tuning in to how you're feeling and what should feel good, what should feel bad would be a great way to segue just because I feel like even sustainability wise, there is some aspect of vulnerability there, or at least, the skill to actually tune into your emotions. So let's get into it. We'll begin with the first question. And I remember you and I were talking even previously, doing this content brief that, you define vulnerability as leading from the heart. But I really want you to share, or at least, kind of explain to the people that are listening right now what your personal definition of vulnerability is and share some experiences where you've experienced that kind of thing in your workplace, maybe with your clients.
So I guess I don't know if you've heard this, but I think many audience would have heard about this, right? Being a supermom, being a superwoman, and there are so many women take pride from that, and because of that we hustle, right? And because of that we put up a portrayal and a persona that we got it covered. um I got everything handled, right? And I am able to get everything handled because we want to fulfill that portrayal.
Mhm.
And when we do that, there is no vulnerability. And because of that, we are always chasing, chasing to put
True.
up with that portrayal, right? But who are we killing in the process? Ourselves.
Yeah, true. I feel like it's a lot of ego, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of ego and a lot of image that is being put up that I am okay. I
Mm,
am a superwoman. I am a Wonder Woman. I'm a supermom, right?
yeah.
And we beat ourselves up for it. So many times when people say this to me, wow, Nini, how do you do it? You're a Wonder Woman, lah. You're a superwoman, right? So I would consciously say that I would like to step away from being seen as a superwoman
Mm,
because I'm not. And it takes a lot of pressure towards me to uh, to be that superwoman in
right,
everyone else's eyes. But
right.
really, behind closed doors, what I'm feeling is lethargic. What I'm feeling is fatigue. What I'm feeling is burnout,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so I guess that is the first thing that I would like to say about vulnerability.
Hmm.
Vulnerability is such a mouthful, right?
It is
So
a tongue twister
that
even.
in itself, yeah, it's a tongue twister. So that is the first thing that I would like to put out because I feel that so long that we are not being truthful to ourselves,
Mhm.
that, hey, I am feeling tired right now. And it is okay to feel tired. It is okay to go through a burnout phase in my life. And it's just okay because I'm human. And
Yeah,
it's just natural for human to feel tired. It's just natural for human to feel burnout, to have that feeling of burnout as we go, because we think that hustle is good. Hustling is good, right?
yeah.
So yeah, that would be the first thing. And I guess if we were to talk about the workplace,
Mhm.
um, for me, the workplace is my team. The workplace is the people that I work in partnership with.
Yeah.
That would be my clients, my audience, the people that I speak to on a daily basis. Um, so that having um, finding the truth about what I am really feeling and what I am really thinking about myself, right? It shows up. It shows up in conversation. It shows up in my energy when
Yeah,
I am interacting with people, right?
right.
And people would easily get me, even if I'm not well articulated, even when I don't use the right word, maybe the right vocabulary,
Mhm.
people will still get me because I come from my truth.
Yeah,
And in order for me to come from my truth, right, I really need to take the time, be in a space where I am able to learn about myself, understand myself, and accept myself.
right.
Then be okay with it because accept myself, right?
True.
Then be okay with it, not look at it as a hindrance, and then I am able to give my permission to be vulnerable simply because it works. And human to human, we are able to sense energy because it's just a vibration, right? I know sometimes I can go a little woo woo a little bit,
It's not
but
woo,
it's
don't worry.
yeah, it's just human. We vibrate and we receive energy. We can sense energy,
Yes.
right? So yeah, for me that's the number one element
Yeah.
to be able to be vulnerable
Yeah.
and to lead from my heart, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like you've mentioned so many great things or like points, and I kind of want to retract that specifically also with the first one, like in terms of hustle culture. I feel like a lot of people get pressured just because, they're always in that chase for something very external. So, and, it's like either chasing a certain goal, a certain image, and I feel like we're at this point where it's like, especially when you feel that burnout, which is very natural, by the way, to anyone that's listening, that is the cost to, working for something specifically, if you're working towards, accomplishments and goals, there is bound to be a natural phase of burning out. And I think, when you're so hooked on a certain image, like, if you can't release, like, no, I have to get it all together, like I can't not have a burnout because I'm super mom or like I'm a superwoman. Of course they don't get like this. It's natural. And I feel like vulnerability is really accepting that, like accepting not only the good emotions, but also the negative emotions that come in, whether it's stress, fear, and anger. Everything is part of it. And vulnerability is really that skill to be aware when that's happening. And the second
Mhm.
one that you mentioned too was kind of accepting that we're just human, like we're real. And I kind of sync vulnerability with authenticity as well, because, building that authenticity is understanding that we're just real human beings, and real is not perfect. It's
Mhm.
embracing that imperfection. And even with when it comes to the workplace, I think it's great that you mentioned that a lot of your clients, even though they might not necessarily have the same vocabulary as you, or you might not have the fanciest presentation or the best pitch per se, but I think being fully transparent, and that takes understanding that you're just a real human being. You can only do what you think is true. You can only speak your truth. It will genuinely radiate in your energy. And the people who sync up, or the people who resonate with that energy, will genuinely connect with you. So I feel like vulnerability too, aside from the things you mentioned, is also building and also accepting authenticity of who you are and what your truth is.
Definitely, Nina. And I guess there is a reason, right? When we would like to have a transparent conversation, we want to
True.
have a difficult conversation, we would say to this person that goes, let us have a heart to heart conversation.
Yeah.
So, what I'm trying to say is rather than, you know, having a special moment to have a heart to heart conversation, why not have it be a habit? Why not have it be a norm when we have
Yeah.
conversation? And I guess one more thing that I would like to add is that I had to learn to go through or maybe get into a tipping point
Mhm.
where I want to do this. I want to be vulnerable. I want to accept who I am. I want to admit that I am only human being. It took really long for me to be there. So I've always been labeled as workaholic, right? That I've
I
always been labeled that.
I can
Uh, I
relate.
even I even have this very close friend of mine. When I invited him to work together with me, he said that, "Oh, I'm actually quite scared to work with you because your level of hard working is something that I couldn't catch up with."
Oh,
Right? Yeah. So before this, I thought that, oh, that's cool, right? But really, um, having to fulfill that portrayal
yeah.
um, in the process, I am killing myself. And I am also putting down people around me, people who I love, because if I am putting up that portrayal out there,
Mhm.
what kind of person and am I being at home and to myself, right? Yeah.
It's also kind of like, and this is not to put down people who are hardworking. Completely respect to everyone who works hard and stuff, but also when you feel in your heart as well that you're just pressured to keep that portrayal. It's not good. Like, especially if you're a role model, your mom, your kids look up to you as well. There are the people that work with you also look up to you in terms of like how you do things. It's much better to be real and transparent than kind of like force this image upon them as well.
Yeah. And like I say, I didn't just arrive
Yeah.
feeling that, oh, I need to be vulnerable, right? I needed to learn my lesson as well, and very painful lesson.
Thank you for your definition. With this said, you mentioned that it took a while. Throughout your experience of kind of maximizing this vulnerability or kind of getting in touch with your heart, what were the greatest ways that you've maximized it, or how have you used vulnerability as the tool in your workplace when when you're talking to clients, when you're leading your team, or how have you quote unquote led with the heart in terms of
Mhm.
your work dynamics or maybe your leadership style?
So I think I'll use one example, an example that is very, very close to us globally, right? The COVID-19. So when the COVID-19 happened in 2021, I decided to start Momentum. And just a couple of months later, I got into Clubhouse. I know that many people
Uh,
heard about Clubhouse also.
yeah.
And because yeah, many were staying at home and the traffic in Clubhouse was really high at that time, right? So I see it as an opportunity for me to build my community on Clubhouse.
Mhm.
So here you go. How Clubhouse works is that, for the benefit of the audience who doesn't know what Clubhouse is, it
Yeah.
is an audio social media where you are able to speak like this, but people wouldn't be seeing you, but just hear your voice,
Yeah.
right? So during that time, so we were running 17 events in a week.
Wow.
17 events in a week, right? So we have 17 very, very deep conversations in a week.
Yeah.
And um, people were just coming in, and we had a massive number of regulars. We had, very good membership. It was about 4,000 at that time membership on
Wow.
Clubhouse,
That's a lot.
right? Yeah, there's a and from all around the world. And one thing that I realized at that current time, people who are able to be vulnerable in how they deliver their message and just speak from the heart, right?
Mm.
Are the people who are the best speakers, who are people who I would like to listen to if I am
Okay.
listening in. People who are giving so much value, because you know that that value is not a stage value. It's not a curated kind of experience.
Right.
It was from the heart. And people just want to speak to you. And when I go out and I introduce myself, physically, after the lockdown ended, when
Yeah.
I shake hands with people and introduce myself, I'm Nini, right? I'm Niney Chong, and oh, you are Niney Chong from Clubhouse. I listen to you all the time. I love you. I love the way you speak. I can relate to so many things that you are speaking about.
Mhm.
And I guess if you were to ask me one example that I feel that, have contributed to myself and that have literally made a difference to another person, is when I am in Clubhouse, people are not able to see me. People are not able to see my hand gesture and all that, right?
Yeah.
But they are able to listen to my voice. And I guess that's the awesome thing about voice, right? People are able to hear the passion, people are able to hear the honesty, people are
Yeah.
able to hear your truth, people are able to hear what's going on in your emotions.
Right.
And yeah, I guess that was on a daily basis, 17 events a
Yeah. That
week.
sounds crazy.
I am able to lead from my heart and get my team. So I had about 22 to 27 moderators at that time, right? Who were running the 17 events together with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an awesome feeling. Every time you close the room, because it's called rooms, right, on
Yeah.
Clubhouse, every time you close a room, you feel that, gosh, I made a difference,
Yeah.
right? Because I have spoken from my heart. I have spoken my truth. I have communicated out my passion in
Yeah.
an authentic way.
The way you also mentioned how, a lot of people really liked you because of your voice, or even just like when you mentioned speaking with your heart as well. I think if we were to like break that down, there is also like a level of being self-trusting of yourself to know that these are your emotions, this is what you're feeling, this is what I've been through, and I validate myself, I accept myself, like I'm still worth something, and it's still worth sharing because you value yourself as well. So even with vulnerability, I mean, yes, you should be open to emotions and, like, tune into it, but it's also understanding that whatever you're going through, whatever you're also feeling, there is some validation there. There is a reason why you're feeling these things, and it's nothing for you to judge yourself over or even be insecure about. And I feel like that also shows in the way you present yourself, or even the way you speak to others about your story or also your truth.
I guess that is another long and painful journey, right? So
Yeah.
I'm in the midst of watching a series right now on Netflix
Um,
called Warrior, right? And
uh-huh.
I had to pause this little scene that says, um, it's a quote by Bruce Lee. It says, "In the middle of chaos lies opportunity," right? So
Oh, I love that.
as yeah, so I guess how I would link that to my life when I am going through challenges is that every challenge that we go through, if we take the opportunity to be in a space, or take that opportunity to be in a space, be in a time where, it's like we do a postmortem of an event, or
Yeah.
what did we do? We were pitching and all that, right? Or doing a pitch. So take that time, take that space, be with yourself, and just reflect back, what is happening right now? Why am I here right now? What do
Mm,
I really want moving forward? You know, because most of the time when a challenge come by, we
yeah.
would be in a victim mode. Why is this happening to me? It's the end of the right? Like that.
Yeah.
Versus when I take the opportunity, hey, really what is happening right now?
Mhm.
Really, why are these challenges happening? How have I played in a role for this to happen? And if I
True.
play a role when this is happening, then I definitely can play a role to take myself out of this. And but before that, I really need to know what is it that I really want from
True.
this, and where do I want to head to?
Yeah, I love how you mentioned that, by the way, because I think, like, people as well become at the mercy of their emotions as well, not realizing that they are in control of their emotions too. And even a lot of people, when chaos happens, okay, like going back to that quote, when chaos happens, a lot of people are like, oh, like, I didn't want to suffer, this wasn't my fault, why is this happening to me? But I mean, in terms of growth, it's more of like you need to take accountability in what you're going through or what you're suffering with as well. And
Mhm.
I feel like there is also a certain extent of kind of being in touch with your emotions, but also being aware enough to detach from it and realize that it's not going to control your life. You're in control of how you perceive what you're going through, what you're feeling, and even like anything else that's similar to it.
What I would like to add is that focusing on what you are able to control, rather than wasting your energy on something that, number one, you don't want to do anything about it anyways,
Yeah,
right? I just want to rant. I just want to complain because I feel good after complaining. Really? You feel good after complaining?
true.
But really, um, focus on something that you actually wanna be responsible about, right?
Very
You
true.
wanted to respond to it. And then the second thing is, it is within your control. You can do something about it if you choose to,
Yes.
right? So there is this one exercise that I do with my team every day, Mondays to Saturdays at 9 a.m.,
Uh,
where we go through three things, right? Number one, what is my intention for today? Number two,
mhm.
what am I uncomfortable about before I walk into this meeting? Well, we don't say before I walk into it, but anytime before I walk into
Yeah.
this morning meeting. And then number three is, what are my top three commitments for the day? So the middle part, what am I uncomfortable about? So my ground rule is that you don't need to talk to me about your deepest, darkest secret. Number
Yeah.
two is that it needs to be something that is within your control and you would like to do something about it. If you are choosing not to do anything about it and it is out of your control, then shift your energy to something else.
Let it go. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I think so many people just also get hooked on trying to control everything. Newsflash, guys, it just doesn't work. You can't control everything. So that's why energy is precious. You know, it's also the most important currency. So really choosing where you spend your energy. Super great. I feel like I've gotten so many things in terms of like why vulnerability is important to you, and even just like the way you work and the way you think is super insightful. What is the most important advice? It could be personal, it could be professional, that you can give to those who are trying to maximize vulnerability or even incorporate vulnerability in their workplace or maybe their leadership style.
It going to, again, learning about yourself,
Mm.
understanding yourself, and accepting yourself. I know it's easy to say, and people say it all the time, and it's becoming a buzz saying, right?
So
Learn
overused,
about
yeah.
yourself, understand about yourself, accept yourself. It's becoming um, a trending topic.
Self-love
But
even, yeah.
yeah, but really taking the time to just pause everything
Mm-hmm.
and get into a space where you take time to do this, however that you would like to do it. So for me, I do this with a somatic therapies, a gestalt therapies. I went through a couple of challenging phases in my life at the end of 2022 and beginning of 2023, right? So I took the time to really stop everything and just, you know, focus on me, to really take a look at what is happening with me right now.
Yeah,
And really, the goal is to understand myself and have a clarity of where I am right now and
yeah,
where do I want to go to? What do I really desire?
yeah,
What are my real aspirations?
yeah.
And only then I guess I when I am in acceptance of those things,
Mhm.
then there's purpose, right? And when there's purpose, I am willing to do whatever it takes, and that includes vulnerability,
Mhm.
and that includes leading my family, leading myself, leading the people that I work with every day to actually operate through our beings, because we are called human beings, we are
Yeah,
not called human doings, right?
yeah.
So
I love that.
yeah, I guess just spend time however you want to do it, to get the clarity of who you are as a person and accept you are who you are.
Yeah, I really love that just because self-work is easy. You know, anyone can work on themselves. You know, that's always tied to a certain action. You can always do something to become better, but to really accept yourself, there's no certain action. It's really just sitting, showing up, understanding who you are, and maybe even unpacking. Unpacking is one of the most difficult things you have to do to kind of
And
accept.
it's constant work too, Nina. it's
Yeah,
it's like it's never ending, right?
right. 100% agree. But I feel like having the time to really sit with that discomfort when you're unpacking or even just accepting your whole self will really help you show up more authentically, but also really practice what it means to have true vulnerability. You know, it's
Mhm,
always going to be a good balance of the good and ugly, but ultimately it's real. It's what's true, which is the most important thing. So I
mhm.
just wanted to say Thank you so much, Nini, for coming on. I learned so much. I hope to anyone that's listening right now, you're able to take some nuggets of wisdom. Tune in for more content features. But for now, peace and love, Karma Marketing.